Morena koutou and welcome. And you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here. With the last meeting was Joe's last meeting as a member of the committee and as chair. So I am just acting chair until we're going to hand over to Ash in a minute, and we're going to go through the process of selecting a new chair who can either finish off the meeting today or I can finish this meeting and they can take over next, I guess. Is that what suits them? Yeah. But before we hand over to Ash, we'll just ask for apologies. Now, we've had an apology from lateness from Kim and Janine. Yep, lateness. Yeah. Yes. No other, everyone else is here, aren't they? Ben's just left the room, but he's here. So can I have a move of that? Would apology for lateness be? Oh, Ben's there. Who's that one? Oh, that's Kim's. Right, sorry.
I was wondering where it disappeared to.
Oh, no, I don't know why I thought you were sitting over there before. Sorry. See, rushing in at the last minute, not being prepared. So if I can have apology for Kim's lateness, please, friends. Move it. Sorry.
I'll move.
Ben move, and is there someone that could second that? I'll second that. Sue, thank you very much. Right, so now we're going to hand over to Ash. Have you all met Ash before?
Briefly.
And it's Karis's. It's also Karis's very first meeting. Sorry, that's very remiss of me. So Karis Evans, it's her first time on the creative communities on this side of the table. She's been an applicant many times before, and I'm sure you are aware she's the manager of Fielding and District Art Society. So we welcome you today. So now we're going to hand over to Ash, who's going to explain the procedure for electing a chair and a deputy chair going forward for the rest of the term.
Thank you. So this committee is a committee of the council, so it follows all of the same rules that other committees follow, including the election of a chair and a deputy chair. The mayor actually has the right to appoint a chair. She usually does that at the start of the training. She does it for all the committees, but she doesn't have to. In this case, she said she's fine for the committee to choose its own chair. It's more appropriate. So that's the purpose of this report. There is two different systems you can use as prescribed by the Act. We're recommending system B because that's the simplest and most straightforward, but it is up to you which one you choose. They're detailed in section 2.3.
So it's page 5.
On page 5. So system B, basically it's just a majority. It's a majority vote, and whoever gets the most votes is elected. If it's a tie, you do papers of the draw, flip a coin. It's just resolved by lot. It's up to the committee who they choose for both roles, and I don't have any recommendations in that sense. So I suppose the first question for you is whether or not you're happy to use system B, or whether you want to talk about that. Yeah, over to you.
We have to treat that as a resolution, don't we?
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So on page 5, that's the first recommendation.
So it's basically first past the post, isn't it?
Essentially.
Yes, whereas the other one is if there is a tie, it goes back. So that's the way that council normally does most of its appointments. Is everyone happy with system B, which is if there was a draw, it comes out of a hat? Is everyone okay with that? Well, I can move that if you like, so it's in front of me. I'd like to recommend that the Creative Communities Assessment Committee uses System B for the election of its chairperson and deputy chairperson as detailed in the Local Government Act 2002, Clause 25 of Schedule 7. It's usually recommended that the chair is not a councillor. It's usually a member of the community. And that's probably what we would prefer if that gives a good lead. So I guess I call for, are there any nominations for the position of chairperson?
I'll nominate myself.
Can we do
Okay.
that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Ms. Lynn. Morning, Lynn. Is there a seconder? Sue's happy to do that.
Oh, hang on a minute. Can we give a seconder for the first?
Oh, sorry,
case?
sorry, for the system B, I also need a seconder, please. Kerry can manage that one. And all those in favour of system B. Okay. Right. So we have a nomination for Ben. Are there any other nominations? I nominate Kim. Okay. Can she nominate second and nominate different?
Yeah, so technically we've already moved and seconded the one for Ben, which doesn't mean that we can't nominate Kim, it just means that there would be an amendment.
Suggesting we move to second the voting system.
Yes.
So Ben's been nominated.
He's been nominated, but we haven't voted on it.
No, that's right, but because it's been seconded, it's on the table.
Yes, it's on the table.
So
So my question was, as Sue seconded, can she also nominate?
yes, but it's an amendment.
Right.
So the easiest option is probably to vote on the first one. And you can have a discussion about it and choose who you think is going to win. And then from a technical standpoint, we can resolve the first vote for them. We'll either win or lose. And then we can hold a separate recommendation for Kim. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but with Kim not being here, we don't know her willingness.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's over to you to have a discussion about who you would prefer. And then
and of course, there's the position of deputy chair as well. So shall we put the first motion, which is that the Creative Communities Assessment Committee appoints Ben Caldwell as the chairperson. Now, all those in favour say aye. Aye. Anyone against? No. Congratulations, Ben. You are the chairperson going forward. And then for deputy chair, maybe that other option, can we say pending Kim's approval?
Sure. Yeah. You can add that into the resolution.
So Sue has moved. Is there a seconder for Kim as deputy chairperson? Ben?
Can I just back up the trolley here?
Yep.
So who moved and seconded Ben's case?
Ben and Sue. It was carried
Right.
unanimously.
Who nominated?
Yes, and Ben seconded. But this is pending her approval as she's not here. So the motion will be that the Creative Communities Assessment Committee appoints Kim Savage as deputy chairperson pending her approval. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. So, and if she says no, then what do we do? Come back?
We can address it at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Now, Ben, are you comfortable moving up here? We can swap places.
Give it a go. I've never got to sit in that chair for an official purpose.
What were you doing in an unofficial capacity?
I was just resting my weary legs. Go.
Morning. I was just acting chair while we nominated our new chair, and Ben is going to be our new chair.
Oh.
And the deputy chair was proposed if you were prepared to do it yourself.
I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Chair, so that means if Ben ever has an application and has a conflict with the room, you need to step in, or if he was unable to be here. So, okay. Oh yeah.
Okay. I suppose I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Is that right? Or
Just making sure
yep.
making sure
Okay. So has everybody had a chance to read the minutes and is happy with what was in them? Cool. Can I get a mover for that, Kim? And can I get a seconder?
I left early, so I better not.
Oh, yeah, you're good. And Sue is seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. All right. Sorry. Notification of late items. Thank you. Jeez. Yeah, my computer's not playing ball on me at the moment. There are none. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that?
There's none.
Okay. Perfect. That's all right.
Now you call for declarations.
Now, can I please get declarations of interest for any of the applications that are being put forward today?
I have a direct conflict of interest with two of the applications.
Yep.
That's the Fielding and District Art Society's application and Cheryl O'Brien's application.
Okay, so that's number one and
Number 1 and 3.
number 3. Okay, cool.
I also have a potential conflict of interest with application number 5. It is an indirect conflict of interest, and it would be perceived rather than realised conflict of interest in that. Listen, anyone? Square Ridge. And that is because Fielding and District Art Society is on Manawatu Art Trail.
Okay, so in that situation, what would we do? Sorry, part of my question. Okay, cool. Everyone happy with that? Perfect. Okay. Sorry. Just get my.
Sure if I should.
Sorry, I appear to be lost. On to presentations now, is that correct?
I think so.
Cool. So our first presenter today, I believe, is Karis. Is it? No, sorry. 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 It's Manchester House Social Services Limited. If you'd like to come forward. Kia ora, welcome. Thank you very much for coming along today and tell us more about your idea.
So we put an application in to the previous Creative Communities round to put a mural on our op shop wall, which is between Delish and Manchester House Op Shop. Since that, unfortunately, that was declined at that stage. And since then, we've actually painted and sealed the wall a light grey colour, ready for a mural. And obviously, it is now probably a target for graffiti, which we've had to clean up several times. So the wall itself, the part of the wall that we want to engage Joe McManaman to undertake the design and painting of is approximately 14 metres long. So if you were inside Delish Cafe, I'm not sure if everybody knows that, but if you looked out the windows, it's the full length of the windows of the inside part of Delish, not the patio part of Delish. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. So as I said, it's 14 metres long, and we would engage Joe to design and paint the mural. It's probably one of the most eye-level murals in Fielding. So people will not only get an appreciation that it's at eye level, but it's also the fact that they'll see it actually being produced, which is actually quite a effort. If you've ever seen some of those things done, that's quite an interesting thing to have happen. And it is currently, it is a public walkway because there's a car park behind it. So it's actually beautifying that public walkway. Currently, we're involved in a Writing for Memoirs project at our senior hub, and that's involving youth from one of the high schools to assist the seniors actually with the technology, really more than anything. So if there may be a opportunity to involve youth in this project as well, depending on what the artist wants. Obviously it's not up to Manchester House, but it would be nice to encourage that. And that really is it as far as it in a nutshell is concerned. So unless there's any questions about any of the application that we can discuss any further, I'm happy to.
Cool, thank you. I'll open it up to questions from the committee. Anybody got any questions for our presenters?
Sue James, do you have any thoughts on the type of mural that you would like? Have you a story to tell? Do you want to?
We originally thought it might be a story to tell, but Joe is not keen to do the design until such time as he's actually got we've got funding for the project. Wow. Obviously the design would be in consultation with Delish, because they're right next door to us and we've already spoken to them about that, and obviously it would have to be signed off by our senior manager. But no, we haven't actually had any consultation, but Joe is known for doing bird life in New Zealand, so that seems an appropriate thing, seeing as Manchester House's logo is a tui. So, it would seem an appropriate theme, and actually would look quite nice, yes.
The model that, the holistic model that Manchester House works from, the same as the council does under their community strategy of Te Whare Tapu Whā, which sits really quite nicely within the services that Manchester House offers. So, I mean, those are the sorts of ideas that we will be putting to Joe to see what he can come up with his artistic mind.
Cool, thank you for that. Any more good, Karis? Yes.
I think you selected diversity as the criteria, and so I was curious to know if you haven't developed the design already, how you'll be incorporating the different cultural traditions that were selected on your application.
When we talked to Joe, a few times in the past, or this year really, his thoughts were that he would wait and see, especially since we were declined the first time round. And I think that's really where we are at when it comes to any actual design. Diversity, we offer diverse services anyway at Manchester House. So we're fully open to whatever comes through, but obviously it's going to fit within, the fielding ethos. I mean, as Max said, it is a walkway, it's a public walkway. It will be seen not only from a large amount of people using the cafe, but also as you walk down Ferguson Street as well. Also, the wall has beautifully been completed and sealed, and has already been targeted by graffiti. So, we'll certainly be looking at what we can do so that wall is not targeted again. And certainly a mural is, I think, the way. Now, as Max said, it is 14 metres of wall, of which is, what did we work it out? 12 metres high?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's not a small wall. And the remaining part of the wall, certainly somewhere in the future, we will be probably looking for some funding or something elsewhere as well. And because it's quite long. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, can I just follow up that question? I wonder if there's any scope to to fit better within the diversity framework, whether there is any scope to include other artists in the design or the delivery process, given, as you say, it's a pretty big space.
I'm not sure at the moment. It's really around funding. We have no spare funding within our budget at the moment. So, you know, we are relying on creative communities. So no, I can't really answer that question at all. And, you know, as I said, you know, Joe is a local artist and he also designed our logo of the tui within the circle. So, you know, that's another reason for using his skills. Okay.
Alison?
Thank you. I'm sure I asked you last time, so you own the building
Yes.
and council owns the walkway?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no, I mean, Delish isn't, while they're affected visually, they're not affected on their property, are they? So,
exactly. I must admit the wall is looking a lot better since Glenn Manley, our painter, has tidied it up, filled some holes and done all those other things. Because it was looking pretty jolly ugly there for a while. So,
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's guaranteed to be continued as a walkway, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. That's all our questions, is it? Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch as soon as we can be. Okay. Application 7, the Square Edge Community Arts. Kia ora. I'm Ben. We're not that nerve-wracking, are we?
Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a tātou, kua tai mai nei, kua tai mai nei I tēnei rā. Kia ora koutou, ko ira na kā ahau, o aroha mai, ko whakatiri te maunga, ko tahi ki te awa, ko hoki anga te moana, ko ngā pui te iwi, ko ira na kā ahau. I am a newly appointed artistic director at Square Edge Community Arts. I've done 2 weeks in the role. So I've brought the lovely Katie Russell with me. She's the one that did the application. And so we're here as a duo.
Ben's in the hot seat too. He's been in the chair 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm here to speak to our Creative Community Scheme application for phase 2 of the Art Trail Manawatu, which focuses on our marketing. So our artists repeatedly, continuously give us feedback, and one of the main comments they make or requests they have is for more paid targeted advertising. They want to raise a wider awareness of the event and to enable us to continue to build on our previous success. So that targeted paid advertising would include advertising on staff, advertising in free regional newspapers, such a broad scope in the avenue, and also looking at Breeze radio station. They want to be looking at doing 40 ads within the 2 weeks leading up to the event in mid-October, and then additional social media advertising just to pump that up, because at the moment we're only doing the free method on social media. This isn't.
We've had 2 paid ads, but
okay.
Very small budget.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Thanks, Katie. This is in addition to. So this isn't only purely what we're relying on. In addition to, we've got our Overstreet banner in central Palmerston North. We have our roadside entranceway banner boards and the entrances to Palmerston North. We've got the back of the bus from Fielding to Palmerston North, which some of you may have seen already. We have posters and flyers throughout the CBD. And we have our amazing guidebooks, which we're just going to distribute out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. Now, these get distributed throughout the CBD. You can't enter our building without it having pulled up in front of your face. They go throughout the whole region, and we're even penetrating the outskirts of Manawatu. I think there's some going to Taranaki. Wanganui's already got some. Thanks, Katie. And this is also in addition to the free marketing that we do. So we're emailing out all the schools, rest home churches, cultural societies, community groups, and then the old free social media push. And this year, 21% of Manawatu district takes up our over 100 artists. So you're looking at over a fifth of our artists participating from the Manawatu district. They participate by opening up their own art studios in their region or participating in the local hub within their region. Our hubs include Fielding, Pohangina, Halcombe, and for the very first time we have a Himatangi hub. And I just wanted to share with you an email that I got from Loretta in Himatangi, whose excitement is very motivating to me. She's written an email to us the other day. Himatangi Beach has their first art trail hub. It has brought the community together already in many ways. I find so much talent here in the village and meeting people we have never met before over the years. We are running a kids challenge for the school holidays. The rules are simple. Make a recyclable dish. We supplied the base and there must be some sand in there somewhere. They are to create how they see the future. Their creations will be on display in our art trail hub, Aroha. Voting and prizes for all children. We also have A5 certificates for all exhibitors and participant ribbons as keepsakes. They're dated 2023, but we are awaiting 2024. So impressed with the quality and style of the whole event. Well done. So that's our little newbie addition to our art trail this year. So our reach has spread. We now have additional repeat attendees from the Wellington region. And we would like the wider region, just like Himatangi, to benefit from increasing our marketing scope. The Manawatu District Council's community development strategy states that it is based on whakawhanaungatanga relationships. And that shared experiences and working together creates a sense of belonging. So the council provides 8 ways that we can strengthen whakawhanaungatanga in our region. We cover all 8. But there are 6 ways of strengthening whakawhanaungatanga that speaks to the heart of our event. And I just wanted to read those out to you. Learn and share our knowledge with others. Build strong, resilient, sustainable local communities. Strengthen the interests and values of our district's residents by encouraging active participation. Generate community-led opportunities and outcomes. See ourselves as single, cohesive communities, as well as a collection of smaller communities based on a geographical location or on areas of special interest or identity. This year, we're also refining our survey. It's more accessible and more targeted to get an even clearer idea of how we can continue to grow our event. By accessing funding for more targeted advertising, we will have a greater number of attendees to survey, therefore giving us more effective data and to use this data for our future planning. We're looking at where and how our attendees navigate the Art Trail Manawatu, with the goal being to bring more visitors to different pockets or different corners of our region and keep reaching out further to support, connect with, and celebrate our local creative communities. I just also wanted to add in there that we are free. We're free to our attendees and we're free to our artists. And this is important to us at the moment because we want to be inclusive and accessible to all artists. We don't want to have some provide a service to only a few members of our community. There are some amazing artists like Michelangelo, various other, even like Himatangi community that benefit from us remaining free if we can, but we don't want the fact that we're free to mean that we can't create a major impact on our wider community. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for that presentation. And just tautoko the idea of keeping it free for artists. That's something I'm big on. I've been involved in lots of festivals over the years where you're having to pay lots of money to be involved, and I think that is really important for that accessibility. So that's awesome. And just the application itself, I thought was really, really good. Gold standard. I'll just open it up for questions to the rest of the committee. Alison.
Thank you very much for the brochure. Had a flick through there and recognised quite a lot of names, so I'm going. Oh, is that election weekend?
It is.
Ah. Oh, one of the artists in there lives next to a polling booth, so she'll do well, won't she? As often happens with these rounds, we've had almost double the applications of what we've got funding to distribute. So would a lesser amount still help you? If you didn't get the full amount, would the lesser amount still be helpful?
I will say, as most non-profit organisations say, yes. Anything is of benefit, and we will use it to the best of our ability to get more bang for the buck. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I think that's everything.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
Go have a coffee.
A well-earned one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, application 4, Cheryl O'Brien.
Folks, I think that actually should be me from the Fielding Civic Centre Trust.
Oh, no.
Cheryl O'Brien is our artist, so unless she's applied for something else as well.
Oh, okay.
She has. She has.
She has, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Am I able to jump the queue? Because Megan actually said she'd adjusted the agenda to put me first, and I've got another meeting to go to.
Yes, tell her to go quick.
That was a mixed, because I got emails from, sorry, I got email from two of you changing the time, so there was a mix in the schedule, but please start.
Is that all right with everybody? Thank you.
Yep, no worries, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I know some of you, and for those that don't know, I'm Ali. I'm one of the trustees of the Fielding Civic Centre Trust. We came to you last year to seek some funding to make the Civic Centre look prettier on the outside. And your advice was that we should find an artist and work a bit more on the concept. So we've done that. So we put a call out earlier this year for local artists, and then connected with Cheryl O'Brien, and we've been working with her since then to develop the concept. I think you've got some copies of the concept in the application, but I can share my screen so you can see them a little bit bigger if you like. This is the space that we're looking at painting these murals. So on the entrance to the Civic Centre on the left, there's these nice little recesses which lend themselves to a little bit like windows. So we've kind of come up with the concept calling it Windows on the Manawatu. And Cheryl's working with a core theme for each that reflects the different diverse uses of the Civic Centre. So this slide is just a couple of those concepts a bit more worked up. So this is the one on the left representing dance and movement, and the one on the right representing the music and entertainment. And what she's also done is we've introduced this sort of stained glass window concept, and behind that will be like you're looking out through a window onto landscapes or views of Manawatu and Fielding. So we're all really excited by this design. Cheryl's been fantastic to work with, and now we're just hopeful that we can get some money to make it happen. So yeah, open to your questions.
Cool, thank you very much, Ali. Any questions from the committee? Oh, sorry, I'll go Karis first.
Hi, Ali. Karis Evans here.
Oh, sorry, you've just turned it off.
I turned it off. Sorry. Hi, Ali. It's Karis Evans here. I have a question about how you sort of arrived at the designs. I think the application was fantastic, and I like the idea that you are working to encompass the different uses of the Civic Centre within the designs. But I wonder if any of the user groups have been consulted, so that as well as reflecting the uses of the space, you're reflecting the people who are actually doing those activities.
In the early days of when Cheryl sort of made her first draft from our creative brief, she had actually suggested using some famous figures. We have decided to not have identifiable figures, just as a clarifying point, to give it longevity, and also not to single out people and then not cover somebody. No, we haven't consulted with the users of the Civic Centre. The main reason for that is because, as you know, our trustees are all volunteers and we're all very limited in our time to introduce an extra layer of consultation about something which we think is fairly clear cut. It would just mean that this project doesn't make any progress. I've more or less been liaising with Cheryl single-handedly and bringing this to the committee at our board meetings to discuss, and it has resulted in some of our board meetings being extended so a bit longer, so we could, you know, give it a lot of time, or enough time. We know who uses the Civic Centre. It's schools, it's young people, it's sports groups. We are wanting to encourage more use of the Civic Centre for the performing arts. We've also been investing heavily in a lot of equipment for that area. So yeah, it's not really something that I would have considered entirely necessary, but we definitely want to represent the community using the Civic Centre.
Thank you, Ali.
Cool. Alison?
Hi, Ali. Alison here. Nice to see you.
Hello.
The panels that have been proposed, is that fairly set in concrete, or would you be open to something slightly different?
We are open to something slightly different. Cheryl spent a lot of time bringing the concept to this point, but we sort of said to her, look, you know, leave it here, let's go get some funding, and then we can really finesse and finalise them. So what each panel exactly represents is still open for kind of finalizing. The specific colors that we use, we could tweak those. So there's still some flexibility there.
Because personally, I would like to see Mana Whenua represented in one of the panels. Kapa haka happens in the Civic Centre quite frequently. And when you're really old like me, you know that when the Civic Centre was fundraised for back in the 1950s, I think it was, one of the biggest community fundraisers was a Kapa haka group back in the day. So it would be nice to see something more reflective of Mana Whenua. If you were willing to do so.
Absolutely. We actually did have a discussion about how to represent Mana Whenua in the designs. We considered incorporating some sort of Māori patterns, but because Cheryl doesn't whakapapa back to a specific iwi in the area, we didn't think that was appropriate, but we're still able to engage with iwi and work with them to bring something through. And certainly with a kapa haka group, I think that's a great suggestion of how we could incorporate that.
Okay.
Any other questions? I just got one, Ali. I just saw that within your application it says that there'll be 12 active participants, but I couldn't see anywhere in the details of the application as to where those 12 or who those 12 would be. So
that basically represents our trust.
Oh,
and
okay.
Cheryl. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody. Thank you very much, Ali. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the time, everyone. And
no worries.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Cool. So I'm guessing now it's application 4, is it? Or
I'm so sorry. I was completely stupid and went to the wrong place. I really apologize.
No, it's okay. It worked out well, actually. Yeah, it worked out very well. So yeah, so come on down.
All right, just over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on down. I sound like Oprah.
Have a glass of water.
Yeah, do you want a couple of seconds to gather yourself?
No, I'm fine.
Cool.
I'll just pull out my application in case I need it and fire away.
Cool. While you're doing that, I'll just get my application. It was application 4. So yeah. So welcome along. Thank you very much for coming and presenting to us today. Feel free to speak away and then we'll have some questions at the end.
Okay. Never done this before, so I'm not actually sure
Okay.
what I'm supposed to be saying. I thought I was going to get asked questions and then I was going to answer, but if
That's
you just
fine.
give me
So
a
if you want to, if you want to just give like maybe a little bit of an elevator pitch about what it is that's in your application, just to jog our memories, and then we can ask some questions from there.
Okay, easy. All right. Well, I applied for support in having my first exhibition. I quit my job in a year and a half ago to pursue my passion as an artist at the age of 43, which is never too late. And basically this exhibition that I want to do, which will be my first one, ties into that. The subject is about basically the celebrity culture and how it creates this drift or gap between the normal people and the not normal people. And essentially the message I want to get across through this exhibition, using my voice as an artist, is that we're actually all the same. We're actually not different. So each piece is going to have a celebrity, and then I've intuitively picked an animal that actually has characteristics that match the person. And likewise, it's going to have their star sign in it. The reason I've picked that is because a lot of people, especially in today's culture, I notice when people meet me for the first time, they're like, what's your star sign? You know, because it gives people sort of a little bit of quick information about who you may be. So I've decided to put that in, and I'm going to have a code, a QR code next to each piece that's going to have all that information in it so that people can engage with it and find out the information behind the painting, and hopefully connect a little bit more with people and realize that there doesn't need to be a gap between them succeeding and us fulfilling our dreams too. That we are all the same, we're all people, and we were all children that had dreams at one stage. So if we get rid of the culture and stop feeding the money side of it, that is sort of the dark side that stops celebrities from living the life that we get to live just because they've chased their dreams, we could have a better place and hopefully more people achieving their dreams and having a better life. So I hope to inspire some thought and some growth and some positivity, and instead of negative self-talk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll open it up to the committee for questions. Yeah, Alison.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about the process? Because was it you were going to produce one a week, was it?
One a week.
Was that you or was it someone else?
No, don't think that's me. So the exhibition itself is going to be held over a few weeks at the Fielding Art Centre. And I'm going to produce 30 works that are going to just be displayed in two parts of the Fielding Art Centre. And part of that, I'm also going to have two school groups, one sort of primary intermediate age and one high school age, to come through, spend some time with me, ask questions about the exhibition and the art, and then hopefully inspire them to not do what I did, listen to other people and put my dreams on hold. You know, that in fact, because I teach at the Fielding Art Centre as well, I teach kids there, and that's one of my biggest motivations, is people not buying into what other people believe as their own beliefs and then inhibiting themselves from accomplishing their dreams. So yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? Oh yeah.
And the original application date was after 19th of September, but Fielding Arts Society approved that they can change the date of exhibition before 19th September next week.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
As long as I don't pay the booking fee, I've got flexibility to change it, and I can't pay it until I get accepted anyway, so, or declined and then not have an exhibition. So yeah, the date's not an issue.
Cool. If no one else has got a question, I'll ask one.
Okay.
I've got your estimates of sales here as $570 for up to 1 to 3 works sold. Is that a conservative estimate, or is that based on?
It's based on the exhibitions that have been held prior to me and what's been sold.
Okay.
in other exhibitions, like similar to mine, or I think maybe just in general.
Yep.
There's just not really, oh, excuse me. As far as I know, there's not a huge turnover of sales when it comes to exhibitions at Feilding Arts Centre, but they've been very, very supportive of me in my journey. And so it's only, I'm going to get emotional. It's only fair and fitting that my first exhibition is with them.
Yep.
It's not about the sales, it's about engaging the community and inspiring people.
Yeah, no, totally get that. Anyone else with questions before we let Cheryl on her way? No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming and presenting. Really loved the idea and the concept, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch with results at a date later this week or next week, I believe.
No worries, and thank you so much for your time, and sorry again for the mix around.
Cool, no worries.
All right.
I say it actually got us back on time.
Fantastic. All right, thank you.
Cool. Jan, Feilding and District Promotion.
Good morning, everybody. First, introduce myself. I don't need a microphone. I've got a quick booming voice. Is that okay? How are you, Kim? Good. Hey, I'm Jan Harris, the new business manager at Feilding and District Promotions. So I've met most of you. And I'm here today to speak about inspired living.
Yeah, just go for it.
I have made some notes, and we live in a world where art comes in many forms, from visual to performance. But one thing that they all have in common is that they all make you feel something, good, bad, or indifferent. The power of print should not be a dying art. It makes you feel inspired to make inspiring choices. With every performance or visual art, there's always something that makes you decide to go. That's the power of good literature. You have all the information, you feel inspired, and go explore new possibilities. That's the power of print, and the artistic expression inspires us to take on those new adventures. The power of having great looking resources for Feilding and Manawatu inspires the choices we make. Shows us the possibilities that sit right here on our doorstep. Living an inspired life here in the Manawatu are the stories we tell at Feilding and District Promotions. They are the stories of local people living their best lives right here. From how our forebears started their new adventures, how new residents from all around the world and locals learn more about their own backyard and the possibilities that exist here. With that too, for people that are moving here from, you know, even the other day we had a guy who'd moved here from Denmark, literature, being able to sit and read something is actually really powerful for them. It gives them a sense of where they are and the possibilities that exist here. Without that, everything is done on a screen. And when you have a touch and feel experience, you're more likely to connect with that. From how our forebears started living their best lives right here in our backyard, this is how we keep the stories alive and grow future generations who look at art in a more open and diverse way. It all starts with something that you look at that inspires you and creates that feeling that makes you want to go, look further, and go for a visit. Art in all its forms means so many different things to so many people, and storytelling is an art form. We are privileged to be able to share the passions of others. Providing the very best artistically created set of resources opens up a world of possibilities and shares our unique stories on a regional, national, and even international level. So I've actually brought with me some of the things that, this is the Manawatu Miki that was produced a couple of years ago, and it has all the things that you can do here. So it has a link to leisure pursuits, it has a link to all sorts of stuff, you know, places to visit, and it's aimed at more at a sort of a tourism level. Same as the Palmy Proud, which is put out quarterly, and same as the new Love Cambridge, which is a fantastic, you know, resource, and it's just full of makes you want to go to Cambridge. And that's what, you know, we need to do here. One of the things I did bring is we talk about art in all its forms as inspiring. So when I look at something, I want to be inspired. So these three things do that. Even Taranaki Garden Festival does that. And it's got everything you need to know. It's got all the gardens, it's got bits about shopping, it's got all sorts of stuff in there. But that makes you want to go to Taranaki for those 2 days because it looks absolutely fantastic. You can't wait to book your tickets. And then we've got this little fly for the Fielding Craft Market, which is a great event, and I'm not knocking the event at all, but it doesn't inspire me to visit it. And that's the power of art. That's the power of good creatives. And this is the other resource, actually this one here, the Daybreaker. They've been really, really smart at how they've produced this, this graphic. They've actually put a QR code in it, so you can actually scan your phone onto it, and that'll take you to more information on their website, which is what we're planning to do. So all the resources that we have here will go up on our website. So you can be sitting in Paris and still know what's going on back here at home, which is really cool. And this is one of the brochures that really does need a refresh. This is the historic walk that was done for CBD, and it was done in 1993. So as you'll know, some of the plaques and that sit alongside this book, they've actually long gone and they need to be updated. But the book itself needs to look cool. You know, we've got a really unique CBD and it tells its own incredible story. And I think that they well deserve a more inspiring view at life. And with the 150 coming up, it's, you know, like, that's great. But actually, this was done in 1993. And there's a box of like 50 copies. So in another 25 years' time, it's 175 years. And there will be people that want to celebrate that. So let's have our literature still alive and well. Let's keep our stories going. And literature is how we do that. So that's my, sorry, a lot.
Open up to questions from anyone else. Kerry?
I think I've got that book at home, or it might be something similar.
Oh, yes.
Have you still got those down at the...
Yes, we do. There's about 50 there.
Okay, I might put my hand up for another one. And it's just a thought, if you're in Paris, why the hell would you wonder what's going on in Fielding?
Because actually, that's where you're from. You know, that's where you're from. And it's amazing. Good literature, actually. A friend of mine, her daughter is studying in Paris. She made a magazine in the Hawke's Bay. That photo of her standing in Paris has made a print book like this that has gone all throughout the Hawke's Bay. So I know what's Manawatu is about 34,000. So I'm sure the Hawke's Bay is actually slightly bigger. So that tells you the power of print.
Alison?
Thank you, Jen. I was just thinking that the historic walk booklet actually is older than the clock tower.
Oh, and the clock tower doesn't feature.
Yeah, because it wasn't there.
And these are the, you know, like the clock tower doesn't, but Kerry's house doesn't feature in there. There's a beautiful home called Bloomsbury Cottage on Martino Road that is picture perfect. And that's not in here. You stop and look at that house and think, yeah, I'd like to get in and have a fossick in there.
I just wanted to flesh out a bit more about the 150-year celebration of the Manchester Block, which some of you may know. There's a committee being formed, but there's no big pot of money from anywhere. It's really at this stage, it's any funding's coming via the council. We haven't secured money from government or anything like that. So I think, you know, and that's going to be in March next year. If we were going to support this, I think it's now or never myself, because of the date of the Manchester Block, 150 years.
for me, for all of us here in the room, and for lots of people, they are the stories that matter. They're our past.
Cool. Karis?
I'm just wondering at what stage in the development each of the 4 booklets are in terms of, do you know what redesigns are going to look like, where redesigns are? Do you know who's going to be doing them? Do you have branding identities already in place? Sort of, yeah, I guess I want to know in the overall scheme of the project, where are you sitting?
Okay, so this, all the information has actually been gathered by Marilyn Whiteman, and she dropped that off to us yesterday. So that's already there to do a new one. So somehow we have to try and decide, and maybe that's partly with some of your influence, do we keep all this and put it into the new booklet so that we're actually condensing all that information into one place, or do we just put this as an online PDF version then you can read, and then the updated version? So there's a little grey around that. So all the information's been collected. We have no idea what the actual finished product will look like, but I've contacted Joanne Steele, who was part of this. So there'll be a group of people, a steering group, that kind of, looks over this to see what it would be good. It would be good to have just a few colour images in it, because it looks a little... The Mickey, the format is already there. It's just a case of actually going through this page by page, which we are doing at the moment, and working out what other possibilities exist. So we've got Fielding Golf Club in here, so Hawkstone needs to be in there. And is there still one at Apathy? It was a 9-hole course. Yeah, so all the golf clubs need to be in there. So this can be like a hands-on guide to what's here, which is fabulous. The art and op shop is at a draft stage, so that's ready to go out to all those people that are actually, in that booklet for them to get their sign off on.
Who's drafted that one?
Kathy's drafted that one. They're all done in-house. Yeah, so that whatever goes out actually looks really good. Yeah. And the heritage one we are working through with we've got 9, 2 of them dropped away, and we picked up the new historic home walk, at the Woolshed Cafes. So they've come on board as well. So they're all in, they're all involved. We're just going to organise a meeting with them to go through the brochure, but also work out the tour aspect of that for the 150 years.
Would you do a similar thing with, like, for instance, the art and op shop trail? Do you bring all those people into the room who are representatives of the op shops?
We can do. No, we can do. But art is subjective. Art's not just... So for me, I'm a second-hand art buyer. I never buy new art. I don't know why. I think it's the thrill of the chase, and you think you've bagged yourself a bargain, and maybe that's all my price can afford. So that's why it's really important to have all those second-hand along with new art, along with, it's actually really important to bring them together, because we're actually capturing what everybody likes.
Alison, another question?
Yes, capturing people's stories, and especially inspiring young people about how people used to live and where they've come from, etc. There's another artist, a writer in our district who could be very helpful to you, and I don't know whether you've seen her book, which is Carly Thomas. Have you seen her book that she's done on over 80-year-olds in the Manawatu and Rangitikei? And she interviewed, it was only out at Christmas, I think. She interviewed perhaps 20 people, and some old identities, and they've talked about their childhood and things, and it would really be for today's generation of kids, hearing that they had to get up at 5 o'clock and milk the cow and all that kind of stuff, and they didn't go inside and play on their iPad, whatever, would actually be a couple of stories like that added into the, especially around the 150 years would be.
And I think you know, it's really important, and we're going through this process at the moment to make sure that what we produce is relevant to young people. So they're going to want to access it on their phones. But we have lots of people that come in and want to go, and they take it all away. Are we relevant? Does it look like it inspires young people? How can we achieve that? Yeah, I've got a meeting with Ngāti Kaupōra tomorrow to look at how we can bring some of that te reo and stuff through those booklets.
One of her, one that she interviewed was Makarita Casey, who talked about growing up at Kaiui Pa Kōwhata. That was a really interesting one.
Oh, right.
Yes,
no, we can reach out to Carly.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I've got one of my own. Cool. Just looking at your budget here, so $8,000 odd on print costs only. Where is the benefit to the artists that are producing for these brochures and leaflets and stuff? So where is their pay coming from?
So the artists,
yeah,
that help produce these things,
yeah,
these are all produced in-house. So there is no, we have our own media and marketing person. I think you're alluding to what artists are going to get benefit from these brochures and things. The people that actually, like Fielding Arts Centre, puts traffic through their door, or the op shops puts traffic through their door. They're not, these are, isn't it a performance art, it's visual art. So there's no actual one artist as such represented here. These are bringing a whole lot of people together that tell our stories.
Okay, no, that's cool. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
We got Karis.
I wonder if I should.
Oh, yeah, actually, we're able to do that. Yeah, would you like to go next? Christy, is it? Awesome.
Kia ora koutou, Christy Tuku Ingoa, I'm just here to talk to you today about a project that I want to be doing with Mount Bigg School. I'm a parent of a student at Mount Bigg School, so I work for Enviro School, so I'm passionate about sustainable environmental issues, but I also study at Te Wānanga o Te Aotearoa. Sorry, I'm nervous.
That's okay.
And as a weaver. So I'm in my 3rd year of my weaving journey. I am in my 1st year of my degree this year, which I hope to complete and finish next year. As passionate as I am about the outdoors, I'm also passionate about preserving our taonga from Papatūānuku so that it is there for future generations. And when I talk about taonga, I talk about our harakeke plants. So I'll give you a little brief history. So when New Zealand was colonised, people came in and they took all of our amazing weaving plants. The inside of our weaving plants, there is a fibre, and that fibre was taken to make sail ship ropes and exported throughout the world. When they came and took and harvested everything at colonisation, they didn't sustainably harvest. What they did is they just came in and cut bushes out altogether. So there's a huge loss of that taonga for weavers and for artists in this land, I suppose, which has left a void of knowledge and skills as well. Things that you need to know: that muka New Zealand harakeke is different underneath a microscope than any other harakeke plants anywhere else in the world. Our fibre on the inside of ours is stronger than any other plants anywhere else in the world, which is why it was so taken so much. As a weaver, I have explored my son's school. They have a wonderful wilderness area down the back of their school. And as part of that, they're doing a big outdoor classroom development at the moment. And part of that is relocating some of the well-established but really ignored harakeke plants. They have some really nice kite weaving plants. They have some really nice moka plants. So there's different varieties of plants for different purposes with the weaving journey. And what I'm applying for funding for is a two-stage approach. One is to work with the school to help them identify what the plants are, show them how they can be used, and then show them how to look after them. So everybody's seen a big overgrown harakeke bush. And so I brought a couple of big pictures along. This is what a harakeke bush should look like. You should be able to see through it. It should have air going through it. It's really important for the spirit of the bush to be able to be cleaned in an appropriate manner. And if I do a close-up on that, then you can see that this picture shows how the plants have been taken from the side. We have the rito and the awhi rito, which is the baby and the mum and dad in the middle. Everything else can be harvested, it can be cleaned and kept nicely. So some of their bushes are in the wrong location, and with the big development they're doing, we want to establish a pā harakeke, which is a natural resource of ongoing sustainable art materials for them as a school. Part of that process is to teach. I love their caretaker, but he just cuts it when it's in the wrong place without knowledge, and that's just without knowledge. So part of it is to teach the board of trustees and the caretakers, as well as the students and learners, about how to nurture and look after our taonga that they have. So that is one part of the application. The second part of the application is that once we've got this beautiful material, our learners need to know what to do with it and to be able to create with it. So what I want to do is, I've thought hard about this, about where I start the journey with the school, and I think it's important to start it with the juniors, because if we start it with the juniors, they will grow as the harakeke plants grow, and they'll be able to actually use it as they progress through their learning journey at the school. It's a up to year 8 school, so that's quite a few years that they're at school. So if I start with the juniors, and because they're juniors, I wouldn't give juniors such a precious taonga to start with. They need to start with very flexible fabrics and cords and ropes and wool, takitahi under over, because they need to develop that skill set. And while we do it, we learn and talk about the tikanga around how we do it and why we do it and what the processes are, and giving thanks and everything else that's associated with it, in the hope that if we can do this in term for this year, the development starts, and then it will all go and progress forward. So in the years to come, I'll be able to work with the school to continue and show them how to take it from a contemporary materials process to, in time when these are ready, to be able to harvest from the plants, to be able to use them and work with them in the school to create things. So that's the outcome.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Open up to questions. Kerry?
That's a middle-aged white man, would that be a flax bush?
It's a flax bush. Yes, it's a flax bush. So if I say flax bush, I mean non-New Zealand plants. If I say harakeke, I'm meaning New Zealand Indigenous plants, because to me, under the microscope, they're completely different. And they have different purposes, and you can't use the imported stuff the same as you can use our beautiful harakeke.
Cool. Alison?
Hi, Christy. I'm really impressed with your project and how passionate you are about it. Is there any opportunity, do you think, going forward that EnviroSchools might help you to teach this in other schools?
I'm already doing projects with it. I facilitate for the early childhood sector of EnviroSchools, and I've already been into Secret Garden and done a harakeke clean up there and taught them how to look after their harakeke bush. They've got one more to do. So I've done one and shown one, and then they can do one. Again, caretaker, keeping it off the path. It made me cry when I saw it. They'd hacked it. They'd just gone like this, and there's all these sharp bits sticking. Anyway, so there was some education there and learning, and the tamariki got involved and helped me with everything. So it was really lovely. I'm working with Betty Mudford Kindergarten Association next month in Levin, and I go as far as Wanganui to Palmerston, to Levin, and all through the district. So yeah, I am working with other schools and centres through EnviroSchools to share that.
That's great, thank you.
I don't.
Oh no, sorry.
I don't have a question per se, but understanding all what you've talked about, Christy, and grateful for it is a challenge. I look at our own marae and our own harakeke and the mess that they're in. So you know, just grateful that working with our tamariki and eventually rangatahi that over time they'll be looking wonderful and be useful.
And that knowledge will be shared, and so that when our children grow up and they buy a house and it has a harakeke bush in it, they don't see it as just a nuisance. They'll actually understand its connection to our whakapapa of who we are and how everything evolved, and they'll respect it in a different manner than what they would potentially without that knowledge.
That's really important, you know, because once that knowledge is lost, you can't regain it. So yeah, that's important that passes on. Karis?
Hi, Christy. I'm Karis. Thank you for your application. I really enjoyed reading it. As someone who has only recently been introduced to rāranga and the principles around harakeke, I think it's really exciting that kids now can get the opportunity that I didn't when I was a kid to learn about how to look after our taonga. As someone who doesn't have a lot of knowledge around harakeke, one of the questions that I had reading your application was how much of a variable does the weather become? And what happens if it does impact any phase of your project? Is there flexibility in the timeline?
There's flexibility with the school and the timeline and everything. So knowledge around harakeke is knowledge, harakeke like wet feet, not drenched feet, but they are, that's why they're often used around riparian for the connection to the water. So with tikanga though, we don't move or harvest or touch harakeke when it is raining or very, very windy. If I talk about it in a spiritual way, it hurts the soul of the plant. So we don't do it then. In a scientific way, it affects the moisture content in the plant. So when you're harvesting in those conditions, you're not going to get the muka or the use of the leaf that you want to be able to have. So from a spiritual aspect, it hurts the plant, so we don't do it. But from a scientific aspect, you're not going to get what you want out of it anyway, so it's not the right time to do it. And then from a health and safety aspect, who wants to be using really sharp knives in the rain and the wind? So, you know, the kaupapa kind of wraps itself around some very logical reasons and steps in that process. So as far as that goes, they've got, the Mount Big School have 3 muka harakeke bushes, which is what you use for your kurawai, which are beautiful. One of them's diseased at the moment, so we're going to have to harvest it quite harshly to get rid of the disease, and then split it and then move it. They've got 2 very, very lovely, and I've worked with them myself, just kete harakeke bushes that would be as big as this table, each bush.
Wow.
So we're going to be able to get in there, divide it up, and then spread them out and have them. So when you plant a pa, they have to be facing the right way, and they have to be in groups of 3. And well, they don't have to be. It's recommended. There's ways and reasons why things are done. So it's teaching all of that tikanga knowledge around it as well. That's what I hope to achieve anyway.
And that time frame from September to September gives you heaps of time in which to do that, even
be able to achieve the goal. Yeah.
No more questions? Awesome. Thank you very much, Christy. Really appreciate you coming and giving up your time for today. We'll be in touch, I'm guessing, next week at some stage.
Awesome.
Cool.
Kia ora. Thank you.
And now, Karis.
Before I disappear, one note. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
As I'm walking out the door, I would really love to talk to the council gardeners on the same aspect of looking after harakeke around our region. So if that could be noted, because often I go into reserves and parks and I see them hacked or not looked after appropriately. So if that could be added and shared in some way.
Yep. We'll make a note of that and that get passed on to the appropriate people.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, Karis.
Right. Do I need to move to the hot seat? Or am
I think so. I think technically, yeah. Sorry, I'm a stickler for the rules. Number 3.
Hello, I'm Karis Evans, the manager of the Fielding Arts Centre, which is run by the Fielding and District Arts Society. For this round of Creative Communities applications, we are seeking funding to run a series of art workshops for essentially all ages. They'll certainly be angled more at working people, adults, but we want to provide between now and December an opportunity for those not currently targeted by our primary school after school art classes to access beginners creative learning. The way we intend to do that is to run 12 weeks of beginners drawing, 12 weeks of beginners painting, and 4 crafternoons or object art sort of workshops. They would be delivered in a staggered phase with drawing starting this week. That will go ahead irrespective of whether we get funding, to be followed a few weeks later by painting, and then towards the end of the year, the crafternoons. The reason we're seeking funding for these 3 workshops in particular is because we've had about 2 years worth of people saying, oh, I just don't want to spend the money on, you know, something I might not be good at, or, oh, I just don't have time, or oh, I'm not very creative. And so these workshops are intended to take place either at lunch times, so that people who are working in town can take a break from their busy lives and come in and enjoy some kai with us. We'll be providing catering and just learn something new on a really low stakes level. And the crafternoons will be delivered on Saturdays. So they're designed to be sort of relaxing spaces, no judgment, and there's no expectation that you're going to have an amazing piece of art at the end. It's literally come and try something new. It's important for us that they be free. Because of that feedback I just mentioned. We've had so many, particularly parents who will bring their kids to art classes and they so understand why they want their children to do art. Like, oh no, I just couldn't. And so we're trying to help people overcome that barrier. And so the timing, the costs, and the diversity of activities are all aimed to reduce those buts and give people some more yes answers. So we're intending to do that, as I say, from September through to the end of the year. So it's a little bit of a shift in focus from us. We've got some funding to run our kids' workshops through to the end of the year. And now we're looking to complement that with something for those older learners.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Questions? You had to put one in, didn't you?
No one else got me, so I will. It's just more of a comment. I think you just described me. Oh, that looks really cool, but I don't think I could do it. I really like the opportunity for participation, and especially, as you say, no expectation that you'll find your inner amazing artist, and your first piece will be something, you know, saleable. It's about the experience, isn't it? And I think it's really good for people's overall well-being. You know, you've got a busy life and maybe things aren't going so well, or, you know, the cost of living's getting to you, but you can just go and de-stress and relax and participate with a group of like-minded people. So
that's another piece of feedback. Sorry if I've cut you off.
I just say, I really like the concept.
I'll add in relation to that, I had at one point approached several local businesses saying, we've got this wonderful workshop space at Fielding Arts Centre, come and hire it for your team building or end of year function or whatever. And at least 2 businesses on Manchester Street came back to me and said, we're cutting our budgets. We're not spending that sort of money on staff. If we're doing something, it's like a small meal in-house. I thought, oh my God, even those businesses who are in town are feeling the impact of the sort of cost of living stuff that's impacting us on a personal level. And if the businesses are tightening their belts and people at home are tightening their belts, where's your reprise to go out and do something that's just, you can shut all of that off. I think that's hopefully another thing that will be fulfilled by having these classes, particularly at that lunchtime, where people can switch off business brain for a little bit.
I really love the concept as well. I had a couple of questions. One regarding, you got your social media advertising here, $69.57. Is that based on previous advertising spend? If that's September through to December, is that covering that whole period? Or
yeah, basically as standard, we have a schedule of social media activity that goes out, And that's averaged based on what we would ordinarily do for similar workshops over that period. So it wouldn't all be paid social media advertising, but just boosting a couple of posts here and there as we would ordinarily do.
Yep, cool. And then the other question I had was regarding, sorry, it was up here. You said expect around 200 Manawatu residents. Again, is that based on previous participation in other courses?
That is what I hope to achieve, and it's extrapolated from what we've had when there have been low cost or free events before, like when we did something called Make Your Own, and that it's based largely on that because that was another free sort of all ages, all comers sort of activity. It's also based on my assumption that we're not going to have the same people coming every week, that people might dip in and out throughout the term.
Cool.
Not a perfect science, but
no, sorry. Science is perfect. Any other questions, comments? Kim?
I've just got a comment, and sort of on the back of what Alison was saying. I recently took our staff to kind of like a team building thing, and we did the paint by numbers, and there were men in our group, and at the end of it all, it was therapeutic, relaxing, never done it before, loved it, time out, and want to carry on with something for their children. So that opportunity that you have in our space is amazing.
Please tell that same group about it.
And now that I know that you do that kind of stuff, we'll come to you.
Please.
All good. Thank you very much, Karis. Yeah, well, you'll find out soon enough. All good. So okay, we'll adjourn for is it morning tea, lunch? What do we technically call it? Kai. There we go. We'll adjourn for morning tea, and then we're back here. What time is it like? 22. All good with that. So about 20-minute break back here, and yeah, cool.
Yeah, but we've all, if you have a look, we've all got quite different, the winners and losers for each person.
Okay, so we're back underway with the meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, so lots of really good applications again, which is awesome. Really excited by many of the ones that have been put forward, and like Alison was just saying before, it's a shame that we've only got as much money as we do and we don't have a bit more, because I see some good applications not getting as much or potentially missing out. But it's the way of the world. It's what governance is, I suppose. Okay, so I suppose we'll look at the first one on our spreadsheet, which is the Fielding and District Art Society, which is Karis presented for. So Karis, I'll just have to ask you to leave the chambers, and we'll call you back in once we have made a decision. Cool. I will open it to the floor for discussion. Any comments, questions, queries? Alison?
Oh. What I liked about this one was the opportunity for participation by anybody, really. So quite different things on offer.
Yep.
You know, different classes would suit different people. And I think it's, if they were to receive a reasonable amount of funding, then there wouldn't be financial barriers to access.
Yep. No, I concur with that. Any other comments?
I agree with Alison. It's reverse is probably not quite the word, but it's opened up lots of people, and I'd like to see them get a reasonable income.
Yep. The only question I really had was the one regarding the social media expenditure. I do think that that's probably a little bit light for what they're doing, but she did explain how the fact that it's not just going to be paid advertising, there's going to be organic posts as well. So that makes sense. But yeah, if they could flick a bit more money that way, I think they'll get that 200 easily, 200 participants. Kim, so have you got any comments you'd like to make?
Well, I agree with both Alison and I had a conversation with a woman in Palmerston North the other day. She was looking for somebody to help with a creative project, and there was nothing available for an older person. She was a counsellor, and this person needed some social interaction and a creative pursuit, but and they had very little resource. I just thought this would be absolutely perfect. Yeah.
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 Definitely. Kim?
You know, I support everyone else in this application. It's probably it's come up trumps in terms of its priority.
Yep.
And I'm willing to be flexible in terms of the money recommended.
So just on that, we're looking at, we've got two of us have given the full amount. That's Kim and myself. Alison and Sue, $4,000, so just a little bit under, and then Kerry, $2,000. So do you want to maybe get a consensus on what we think is the correct amount to give for this application? I'm fully supportive of the full amount, but I'm open to discussion on that.
Having seen the presentation, I probably was a bit light with my $2,000, to be honest. I'd be quite happy to move that up.
To the full amount, or?
Oh, you never give them a whole lot, do you?
Four?
Oh, that's
yeah, that's just under. It's just under $200 more for the full amount. So.
Mr. Chair,
oh, sorry.
I guess this is my broken record, which I say to this group every time I meet. You've gone through and done your priorities. This is your number one priority.
Okay.
So, if anything, it should be
fully funded.
The level of funding, it should be totally funded.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Because this is your number one. Unless you want to go through and reject them.
Yeah, yep. Okay, no, that's cool. All right, so I'll put the motion forward that the Creative Communities Assessment Committee supports this application to the amount of $4,195.36. Do I have a mover?
Yep.
Kim? Application 3, sorry. Yep. So mover is Kim, seconded by Alison. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That is carried. Right. Should I go get Alison? Not Alison, sorry. Alison's there. Oh, no. Megan, thank you. Save an old man.
You're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've sat in council meetings long enough. I should have picked up something. Okay, our second priority or second one to look at on the spreadsheet is fielding Core5 patchwork quilters. I think the consensus from most people is that they're supportive of this, but to varying amounts. So open the floor for discussion. Any questions or anything that stuck out from their application that you'd like to discuss? Yeah, Alison.
They've done this for a number of years now, and they aim it to capture the wives who maybe don't want to go around and kick tractor tyres at the field days. And the Coach House is a great venue for it. And I liked the idea that they're going to have one of the artists on site who will be able to talk about making quilts and things as well. So personally, I still ranked myself, I ranked it a little bit lower because it was more about, wasn't so much about participating in the process of making the quilts. It was just about viewing the quilts is why I ranked it a little bit lower.
Cool. Any other comments or questions?
I had quite a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I really liked the idea. I thought it was fantastic. But as you say, Alison, it did seem to be more about seeing rather than sort of getting engaged. The questions for me were, first of all, sort of logistical questions. Where are they at in terms of actually creating what's going to be going on display? Because it seems like it's a pretty short timeline given the scale of the event. What are the stall holders doing? Where has the visitation number come from? It wasn't clear to me whether that had come from the Coach House or whether it was based on previous attendance data. And I wondered if the amount of money that they wanted to spend on advertising equated to the type of people that they're targeting. I question the necessity of spending $700 on newspaper ads if their audience was schools and families. Do school children and families necessarily get reached by that type of advertising? Therefore, is it good value for money, I suppose? And I wondered if, because it seems like a lot more money that they were spending on this event than they had in the past. And when I looked at the budget, it seemed to be that it was because of some of the technology that they were hiring. And I wondered if maybe this committee is best placed to fund that, or if something like Central Energy Trust Event Fund maybe should have been approached for some of that money.
Yep, very clear questions. Just on the newspaper advertising, if they're going through stuff, generally what stuff will do is they'll say, okay, well, there's a certain amount that we'll put towards a printed ad, and here's a certain amount that we'll put towards digital advertising on our platform. So I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, good to ask those questions. And Alison, yeah.
You probably don't know, but Stuff owns the Central District's field days.
I did not know that.
So possibly there was an opportunity to use some, perhaps I didn't spot it in there, but maybe it's more Farmers Weekly type magazines rather than, say, the Fielding Herald.
Yep. Yeah, it's people that are actually visiting rather than people that are already here. Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Any other questions or comments?
I wasn't overly excited about it. You can probably see that about the amount I put in there, but I tried to sort of spread the money around between most of them rather than give someone a big amount, but maybe that's not the way to do it.
Any other comments, Kim or Sue? All good.
I'm quite open to the amount that I've suggested.
Okay.
To change that if I have to.
Yep. Okay.
Based on some of the comments.
Well, I'll put the motion forward that we go with the full amount since it is our second priority, and then we can open up a discussion if we want to reduce it down from there. So the motion is that Fielding Core 5 Patchwork Quilters, application 2, receives the full amount requested of $3,228.54. Anybody want to move or second that? Okay, Sue's going to move. Anybody second? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Anyone against? Motion is carried. Cool. Number 3 on our list, Cheryl O'Brien. Aren't we the same? Again, Karis, because I think you have a conflict of interest, I'll just have to ask you to leave the room again. Cool. All right, comments, questions? Sorry, yep, you go.
I didn't recognise the name, but as soon as she walked in, I realised I had met her before. Out my way, we have a little craft and social group, and she came and did a art session with us on pop art, and she was a really good teacher.
You could see just in those designs that she'd done for the Civic Centre as well. Like, that's
so she calls it pop art.
I personally think that this type of application is exactly what Creative Communities is for. You know, for people that want to find that way of turning their passion into a profitable income for them. I did think that the estimations on how much artwork would sell, if you've got 30 artworks and you only sold 3 of them, I think that, that was maybe a little bit low, but I'm happy to accept that that's based on previous exhibitions that have happened in Fielding. Any other comments or questions, or yay or nay for Cheryl's application? Okay, I'll put the motion forward that Cheryl O'Brien, application 4 receives the full amount requested, $2,661.71. Anybody want to move that? I've got Kim to move and Alison to second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Okay. I'll go.
Get it.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
Mentioning the amount left is $10,085.61.
10,085.
No, sorry, that's it. I approved that one. You have $9,914.59. $14.
Yeah. 39 cents. Cool. All right. We've got Number 4 on our list, Christy Michelle. Sorry, her last name's cut off there. Wheeler? Yeah. Whittaker, sorry. Apologies. Plant apa harakeke. Questions, comments? I'm really supportive of this. I think that anything that's sustainable in terms of art is a good idea, and utilizing indigenous plants like harakeke, I think, is really awesome.
And I liked her passion.
Yeah, that really came across. Yeah.
I think her speaking about it was actually more valuable than reading the application.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, but mean.
Yeah. So you've got nil for this and encouraged to reapply.
Well, just because you know, I saw the presentation and now I'm told, but
yeah,
you know, prior to that, I'm thinking, oh, could we not just defer this one? I didn't not like the application, but I'm just
it's
just not enough money to
go.
That's cool.
Say something. Some of her application was about buying shovels, which is kept out. Maybe we can approve the second phase, not the third. Not it's solely on the apartment area.
That was quite a small amount, wasn't it? $60 or something, wasn't it?
I had also questioned some aspects of the budget. I don't think it necessarily undermined the quality of the application. I hadn't thought about the capital items, but I had wondered how some of it was calculated, like the travel time, for instance. If we fund her, does it need to come with the caveat that she maybe needs to use the IRD measure for her travel time? It seems like that in particular was an arbitrary sum. Or maybe reallocate some of rather than buying capital items. Could it be reallocated to some other aspect of the project?
Yeah. Oh yeah, go Alison.
I do know Christy a little bit, and Janine knows that she used to be the chair of the Sense and Community Committee, and she used to be a teacher at Tangi Moana School. She's lives in Senson and going to Mount Big School anyway to take her son there. And I know that she's moving to Fielding at the end of the year. So is travel really a factor? If she's already taking her child to the school, wouldn't she be going in anyway?
Yep, that's fair to consider. So I get the overall feeling is that we are supportive, but we're just not necessarily sure if the amount is an accurate reflection or okay. So how do we do this? Can we put
we'll look at the budget.
Okay.
So which page would we be looking at?
I'm more than happy for her to like determine what it is that she spends the money on, but maybe we just look at like what that amount is. So has anybody got an amount figure in their head as to what they think would be fair?
I'm just trying to find the budget, sorry.
Page 6 of the individual application.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, you've already questioned the capital, which, you know, that is exempted from getting funding.
Yeah.
And there's some question around travel. So with the two figures that remain, that's $2,000.
Okay. All right.
Which sort of matches around the level that people were comfortable with.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, I'll put that forward as a motion then that the plant and pa harakeke application, sorry,
Number
8 receives an amount of $2,000 towards their application. Can I get a mover and a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, so got a mover with Kim. So mover with Kim and seconded by Karis. And it's just being noted that it's for non-capital items only. Is that right? Cool. All those in, oh, sorry. Kim moved. And Kara seconded. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Carried. Right. Number 5, Square Ridge Community Arts. So my calculations are right. There's a nice round amount. $7,940.39 left. Yep. Oh, 1-4. Oh, sorry. I thought you said 40. It's my hearing. Okay, so I know that this is quite a significant amount that's been put forward. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking it's a lot of money.
I wasn't gonna suggest otherwise.
So I mentioned to you that we can see the screen because I had to take out Kara's scores for a Square Edge because she has indirect conflict.
Oh right, yeah, yep.
Manchester House is the 5th now. Square Edge is the 6th.
Oh, okay.
Because,
So do we, in terms of the order, do we need to go to Manchester House and then to, okay, all right. So just hold on Square Edge for a moment.
So we're going to Manchester House, are we?
Manchester House, yep.
The mural, yep. Oh, it's quite generous there, wasn't it? Look at that.
I just love your running commentary of your own decision making. It's like it's a surprise to you. Okay, all right. So Manchester House Social Services, mural op shop wall. They've got 14-metre wall, which we know about. Open it up for discussion. Alison?
Well, you'll probably see there that I ranked both the 2 mural projects as, sorry, not enough funding, because myself personally, I did actually rank Fielding and District Promotions a lot higher, but I think I was probably the only one that did. It wasn't because I didn't like the project, it was just someone has to miss out. And unfortunately, and I know both those 2 have applied before. I don't know whether there's any other places we can go for funding for murals or not, but that just explaining why I put 0, but I'm open if people are, because it's their second application and they've put a bit of work into it, whether, you know.
I put $1,000 because I was very inclined to put 0. To me, it seems more like a commercial agreement between them and Joe, and that it's going to be of more benefit to potentially Delish customers and shoppers than necessarily the community. But I thought there was potential for it to achieve what they're saying that it's going to do with diversity. My thinking was, if they have $1,000, can they go out and do some actual consultations and maybe get other artists involved, put some designs to maybe some of their user groups or something like that? Could they achieve diversity potentially if they had a little bit of seed funding to go off and do it?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, just I guess there's a little bit of a caution there in regards to how you've marked your assessments against the assessor's guide. And those 3 components of funding, above marked diversity with the fact that the art project will bring together groups from a range of different communities. When they were talking about diversity, they were talking about the aspect of the diverse of the services that they provide.
Yeah.
So in the context of things, if you're basing it on the fact that it's going to bring together a range of different communities, they have not been able to demonstrate that in their application.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that as well. I did think diversity was a strange thing for it to be pegged to, but yeah, Alison, just.
They said how long the wall was and they haven't come up with a final design yet. I wonder if they would be better to take an approach like the Civic Centre and do panels. And perhaps you could fund one or two at a time and they could do it as a staged project, and there could be the I mean, I know Joe has a certain style, but maybe they could invite other artists to do some of the other panels, and therefore you would get a little bit more diversity in what's being reflected. Possibly.
They could nick the Civic Centre's concept. Any other questions or comments? So I get the general feeling from this is that based on what they've applied for, we're overly supportive of the concept of doing something with that wall. It's just that with this application, it's not necessarily fulfilling the brief of what they've actually asked for. So I'll put the motion forward that the Manchester House Social Services application number 1 is declined for its amount based on the fact that it hasn't been able to show where its diversity criteria, where the diversity criteria is met. Anybody happy to move that?
I will move that.
Karis, anybody second? Go with Alison. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion, oh, sorry. Oh, motion is carried.
Christie's application. She has recycled and upcycled materials from offshore 500 as well. So are we considering that one step
Cool. All right. So then we go back to Square Edge. Is that right?
What's left in the pot?
$7,914.39. And I'm right, Karis can sit in but can't take part in voting, is it right for this one? Oh, again.
I wasn't sure about this one because it's not a commercial conflict of interest. It's not direct, but it's perceived. It could be discussed.
You're going to get your step count up today.
You win, Karis, today.
I'll do like shuttle.
Okay, all right. So Square Edge, what are we thinking? Just looking at the amounts that people have sort of suggested, we're all pretty similar. Just a few around the 3,000, 3,600, 5,000. Yeah, and we discount Karis's now. So
what was the amount left? Sorry,
$7,914.39. So we had the ability to fully fund what they've asked for. But I get the feeling that, particularly in the in this process, we're probably nearing the end of our own budgets and thinking, well, we're going to find the money from. So I really thought that they did a great presentation and the application itself is fantastic. It's just, again, it's that amount of money that we have available compared to what they have over in Palmy and some of those other metro councils. It feels like we're always asked to give more than what we're actually able to provide. So I'm supportive of it, but just not to the full amount.
I would like to see some money go to the Civic Centre, and we can't fully fund both of them. So I'd be in favour of either splitting it up the middle or doing something.
It's a great deal.
Yes, there's three others that can consider. Yeah, so that's all right. I think Sue wanted to say something. And then
just such good and growing participation in this, and we're not going to see the same benefit from the civic centre. That's going to be a nice to have, isn't it? Just such a busy, exciting, full on participation, loads of people.
Alison?
I'm sort of just thinking of the three that are left. I feel that both the two mural projects, there's probably opportunities for them to go to other funders. Whereas I'd like to support, to a degree, the art trail and fielding and district promotion. So I would myself probably say no to both the murals simply because there's not enough funding, and then work out the remaining amount between those two that I've mentioned.
Kim, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, in my assessment, and I'm quite open, I tend to agree with Alison, although, yeah, because when listening to the Fielding Civic Centre, Ellie, I had those questions that Alison had brought up about reflecting the community and a little bit more work to do there, and perhaps doing a panel at a time or whatever, but perhaps they're not ready yet entirely. And
sure. See, of all the applications left, I'm looking at fielding and district promotion. I'm not sold on it. I don't think that it actually fits the brief of what Creative Communities is for. Like all they were asking for was pretty much printing costs, and everything else is being done in-house. So to me, that seems like it's a funding issue rather than, you know, anything that's generating income for artists. So I'm not really keen on that one. I'm more than happy to consider something going towards the Fielding Civic Centre for the murals, just because I know when they first came here, it was basically like they didn't really have anything in their application. There was very high level sort of talk about what costs might be, but there was hardly any quotes or anything like that. And so they've gone away, they've done the quotes, and they've got concepts, which compared to the other mural, I think is actually a step further ahead. And I said for where is it? Sorry, the Arts Trail, I said 3,600, but I'm more than happy to look higher than that for the Arts Trail, because I do see that having wider benefit for not just our district, but the region as well. And like you say, the access and participation. And what really stuck out to me was that it's a free festival for artists. And I'm like I said before, I'm massive on that, because it's getting more and more difficult for artists to take part in festivals if they're having to pay, and then they're not necessarily making that money back from their sales or their tickets or whatever. So, yep.
Can I ask the staff, have fielding and district promotion, to your knowledge, put in an application for other like event fund or anything like that for the Manchester Block 150th, or have they indicated that they're going to? Would some of those printing costs meet the criteria? I mean, if it was for an event, I suppose.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe their application in their current form actually meets the eligibility requirement, because when you look at what the purpose of the Creative Community Scheme, it's all about the promotion of art and all art forms. I don't believe that what they're seeking funding for actually demonstrates any form of art. They talk about visual art. It's more about promoting, marketing what we have within the Manawatu district, which I don't believe this is the right fund that they should have applied to. They would have been better to have applied, if not through third-party funding, but if there was another fund within council, it would have been the Community Development Fund.
Okay.
And in regards to your question on have they come to council for any funding at this stage, no, but we do understand that there is an application being prepared at the moment to come within our current fund, which I think ends of 30 September. Yeah.
Oh, in that case, I'm happy to not support them here and encourage them elsewhere. And I would probably put the Civic Centre mural above the Manchester House one.
Okay, all right. So if we just go back to the Arts Trail, I'll put the motion forward that we support the Manawatu Arts Trail to the amount of $5,000. All those, oh, sorry, no, I skipped. Can I get a mover and a second? Oh, I moved it. Okay, yeah. Can I get a seconder? Sue. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Can I just make a comment? None of us marked it that high in our comments, bar one person. I'm still comfortable with a lesser amount. And one of the things I picked up, they've obviously, with the events getting quite close, you know, she talked about, I hope you've seen the bus driving around. Well, are we allowed to do retrospective? You know, that's obviously already been paid for. So to me, it's just the amount's a bit high. I'd be more comfortable around the 3,000. What was the?
So
how much was the Civic Centre one? Okay.
Do you want to discuss that about the amount? Like I'm open if we want to go lower. I was just basing it on what we have left and sort of averaging out what people put forward. But yeah, I might have been a bit higher with my suggestion. So do we want to look at an amendment to the amount?
Can we just play around with our calculators?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing as well is like if we don't leave enough behind for the Civic Centre murals, you know, that money just might sit there until runs out, or you know, not runs out, but the time runs out. They might, if they need to seek funding from elsewhere, might need to give them a little bit extra.
Or they can have the option to do so many panels at a time.
Yeah, there is that. In some ways, like I think that would be favourable, and you know, if they get like a panel or two panels done, and then you can see what it looks like, then you come back and go, oh, well, let us get the rest of the job done. So, yep.
May I ask something? As it was mentioned in the application, it's about 30,000 from the NCC, which probably some of the advertised on the bus was fine. So, because it's mainly located in Palmy, but it goes around, they already received $30,000.
Yeah. So they've got funding. So this is basically sort of covering any shortfall. Yeah.
Did you go 3.5 or 4?
I like tidy figures. I don't like giving people scrappy amounts. So I've done 3,000 for the art trail and 4,900 for the Civic Centre.
Okay, so.
But if you wanted to make it 3.5.
So I'm thinking similar amounts, just split the other way. 4,000 for the Arts Trail and 3,000 for Civic Centre. That would be my feeling also.
So what, 3 for the Civic Centre,
Yeah, 3 for the Civic Centre and
the rest for the
Arts Trail.
About 3.5 each.
Well, because there's
That'll let them do panels, 2 panels and all that other stuff.
so if we so you're saying just split the 7,914 in half.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Yep, sounds good to me.
Alison's got a recommendation on the table.
Yes.
It needs to be, which is proposed Ben's,
Mhm.
which is moved and seconded. So we need to finish that.
So I'm voting against the first amount. So that's all you need to put. You don't have to.
does she need support for that?
Well, she hasn't given me a figure.
No, she
No,
voted against
I was
it.
just voting against the first amount.
Yes.
I hadn't proposed a second amount.
Okay.
I was just saying no to that first figure.
So at the moment, the 5,000 stands.
So that was my point. Okay, so I do need,
yes.
Therefore I need to recommend
An amendment to the amount of that.
Yeah,
of
to the
5,000.
to let's see. Okay, so for $4,000 for the art trail, which the bit you don't note, which would then leave 3,914 for the civic centre, but that'll be the next motion.
I'll second that.
$4,000.
Yep.
Sorry, all in favour of Alison's amendment? Yep. Aye. Against? Okay. 4,000 for the Arts Trail? Square Edge, cool. Which then brings us to, sorry, lost again. Manchester House, Fielding Civic Centre Trust. And we're putting forward the motion that they receive $3,914.39.
Round that off.
Yeah, but if you're receiving that money,
if we took the $14.39 off, it would be a nice tidy. We'll even do the 3,910. I just don't like them. How do they make their budget fit?
I don't know. So the three. Oh, sorry.
We're still discussing it.
Okay, I'm happy. Like if the money's there, I don't really see any point in hanging on to it till next time. You know,
maybe I'm being a bit OCD.
just tad. So I'll put the motion forward that Fielding Civic Centre Arts. Oh, sorry. There's so many different organisations. Fielding Civic Centre Trust receives $3,914.39 for their mural project. Can I get a seconder?
Could I please ask a question before it's seconded?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because one of the reasons we didn't give Manchester House funding was because they couldn't demonstrate diversity, and I'm just wondering how this demonstrates diversity in the application. I know they talked about diversity of uses in the discussion, but going back to the application, I'm looking at the wording again, and I'm not sure it's diversity.
Okay.
I guess in the pictures they put forward, apart from the fact that that didn't reflect mana whenua in any way, which I'd still like to see, I guess from their point of view, they're putting forward the diverse use of the civic centre thing.
Which again, I suppose if we're using the same criteria as the as Karis was saying, using the same criteria for Manchester House that doesn't meet that criteria.
Although I think the Civic Centre mural reflects what the Civic Centre is about. The mural for Manchester House is not paintings of food banks and budgeting services, and if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Down an alleyway.
Can I get some guidance from you there, Janine, on that one? Like,
yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Karis has certainly raised a question on diversity, and that's something that I did caution you about in relation to how you are actually interpreting diversity. It's not about diversity of services or what's being provided in the facility. It's about the diversity of the communities. And when you talk about diversity, both in the art form, the diversity talks about your sex, your gender, your what's your sex gender, your culture, your age, with whether you're a junior, a young, a senior. It's about people that make up your community, not about the services being provided. And I guess that is something that central government agencies are quite hot on in regards to when they talk about diversity. It's about people. It's not about services.
And how you message that back to these organisations will make them go away and think about diversity.
Yeah.
So, and potentially some of them do need to think about that. Be able to deliver services in the future to a more diverse range of the community.
Yeah. Okay.
Because both the two organisations applying for mural funding do have diverse services, but yeah, how you demonstrate that's
but arguably
in a mural.
To all groups within the community. And I guess that is, I'm thinking about feeling Civic Centre Trust here.
I feel like there's so much potential for them to reach the diversity criteria. All they would have to do is ask one of the groups that use it to help with the design, or maybe go do a painting day. It didn't seem like that was clear enough.
I mean, the answer when I asked was because that's not in the artist's realm of her scope, we'll get a different artist to do that one. Maybe each panel could be by a different artist.
Yeah, I did think that.
I think what actually has come out is to just have a painting of diverse people, different people from different backgrounds, and it's a good one for putting native plants in it. It's easy. It's not that hard to make it diversity, because that's the thing that they can apply.
I think part of it for them is the artist they've chosen. She's very modern, isn't she?
How easy could it have been? I think Cheryl mentioned she teaches classes at Fielding Arts Centre. I was like, why couldn't you get the kids involved and make it diverse?
Is that a suggestion we could put forward, like as a caveat to them receiving the funding? Because I think that they are further along than where Manchester House is. They've got concepts. I think we all agree that we like the concepts. Even just looking at this, support the diverse artistic cultural traditions of the local communities. I think that those murals would tell a story of the Civic Centre itself and the diverse types of people that use it. But I agree that it hasn't necessarily fit the criteria. So I just wonder if there's a caveat and maybe some education that, like, if you're looking at putting forward for this in the future, then you just need to be a bit stronger in terms of how you identify what that diversity is and what that looks like. But we're happy to provide you with the funding on this occasion, provided certain things are met. Has anyone got any thoughts on that?
Motion at the moment, Mr. Chair, there's a motion on the table for 391439 for application for the Civic Centre Trust moved by me. Right, so it's sitting on the table.
Okay. Can we take it off the table? Okay. Does anybody want to put forward a different motion then?
I suppose happy with that, but if it doesn't fit the criteria, I suppose we have to come up with a plan B.
I guess through you, Mr. Chairman, if we were able to work with the trust to maybe not look so much as the diversity, but more at the accessibility for the public. So that's the access and participation. May have been a better category that they put it against rather than diversity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can certainly move a motion to give funding based on Megan having a conversation with the trust to ensure that they do meet that category. They clearly do not meet diversity as it currently stands. They just need to be able to demonstrate that they can.
Yep.
Which ticks the box for Creative New Zealand.
Okay.
Access and participation is possibly, but that will mean that they would need to involve more.
Okay. All right. So if we add that to the motion that's currently on the table.
Ensuring that they meet the access and participation.
Yep. So you'll second it, Kerry? Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? And that is carried. And I suppose we just go through the last one, which was Fielding and district promotion. Do we need to, we don't need to, do we need to vote on that? Okay, so we, yeah, okay. So application number 6, Fielding and district promotion. The motion is that we decline this application as it hasn't met the access and participate, or hasn't met the criteria for what Creative New Zealand has set out for creative communities.
And would you suggest them applying to the Community Development Fund?
Yeah, if that's still available to them, is there? Community development. Okay.
You don't need to include that in the motion.
No. Okay. Yep. That's moved by me. Anybody to second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Karis. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Carried.
It was hard work.
Oh, we haven't? Oh, okay. Okay, move the motion that we go into public excluded. Can I get a seconder for that? Alison? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried.